What if today is the warning your future self has been begging you to hear? What if this is the last quiet moment before everything begins to shift, before the clock starts ticking on the most important deadline of your life? You see, most people drift through life without ever realizing when a turning point is right in front of them. They think change comes gradually, silently, safely, but that's a lie we tell ourselves to stay comfortable. Real change arrives with tension, with urgency. With a whisper that feels like a shout to your soul. There's a date ahead. June 20th, 2025. To some, it will look like any other Friday. Just another sunrise. Another page on the calendar. But to you, if you're listening, it will be the day everything changes. Not because the world will shift around you, but because you will shift within it. This isn't superstition. This isn't fear-mongering. This is alignment. This is preparation. This is your wake-up call. The far too long you've sensed there's more inside you. A quiet voice reminding you that you're not living at full capacity. You felt it in the stillness, in the moments between noise, a tug on your heart, a strange discomfort that tells you you're not where you're supposed to be. You've brushed it off. Life got loud, you got busy, but the voice never stopped. And now it's no longer whispering, it's shouting. You are being summoned to wake up. To stop sleepwalking through a life that was never meant to be dull, small, or forgettable. You were created for something far greater than survival. June 2025 isn't just a date, it's a divine appointment. A marker in time where you'll either be ready, or you'll be full of regret. And regret isn't just painful, it's paralyzing. But here's the truth that should shake you to your core. You still have time, not much but enough. Enough to prepare, enough to break old patterns, enough to finally fully awaken. Because here's what most people will never tell you. The life you want isn't hiding from you. It's waiting on your decision, not someday, not when you feel ready. Now there's a reason this video found you. There's a reason this message feels like it's piercing through the fog. Because it was meant for you, not for the person scrolling by, but awakening is only the beginning. Once you hear the call, you can't unhear it. Once you see the gap between who you are and who you were meant to be, you can't close your eyes to it again. That's where the real challenge begins. The space between the calling and the commitment, between knowing and becoming. And that space is where most people turn back. Not because they don't want more, but because they're afraid of what it costs. Change is uncomfortable, growth is painful. And becoming who you're meant to be will demand everything you're not willing to carry anymore. That's the truth no one wants to say out loud. You can't step into your purpose while dragging the weight of your past. So ask yourself, what are you still holding on to that can't come with you? What's in your hands that's keeping you from receiving what's ahead? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's the false story you've repeated so many times it became your truth. I'm not good enough. I'm too late. I've already failed too much. Lies, every single one. Because if you were too broken, the fire would have gone out by now. But it didn't. That small spark still flickers for a reason. You're still breathing because purpose still lives in you. And now you're being given a window, a sacred chance to do something about it. But you cannot step into your next chapter while clinging to the one that almost destroyed you. Healing isn't easy. Letting go isn't comfortable. But staying the same, that's the slowest death of all. You were not born to be stuck in cycles that steal your peace. You were not made to live on autopilot, watching your own life pass like a stranger. You were created to risk, and rising will cost you. It will cost your excuses, your comfort, your pride. It might even cost relationships that no longer reflect the version of you you're becoming. But the reward, it's freedom, peace, power, clarity, and the kind of confidence that doesn't come from ego, but from knowing who you really are. You weren't called to be ordinary. That restless feeling inside you isn't a curse. It's a compass. It's the part of you that refuses to die, even when the world tried to silence it. That part of you is calling you forward. Not to become someone else, but to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. So here's the hard truth. You don't need permission to change. You don't need approval to grow. You don't need someone else to validate your journey. You just need a decision. One decision, that your past is not your future, that your limitations are not permanent, that your current season is not your final story and the deadline ahead. That's not pressure. It's power. It gives you clarity. It gives you urgency. It gives you a reason to finally break free. Because knowing there's a date forces you to stop drifting and start choosing who you want to be, how you want to live, what you're no longer willing to carry. This is your moment, not tomorrow. Not when you feel more motivated. Not when it's convenient. Now, the clock is already ticking, and the version of you that's waiting on the other side of June 20 is already calling. Will you meet them? Will you do the work required to face them with pride instead of regret? No one can do this for you, but you don't have to do it alone. Because every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you choose truth over fear, something inside you strengthens. And that strength? It builds momentum. And that momentum? It becomes transformation. You don't have to fix your whole life today. You just have to start walking. One decision at a time, one hard choice after another, one silent battle that you refuse to lose. And if you keep walking, you will arrive not at perfection but at purpose. Not at comfort but at truth. And that's what June 20 is about. It's not about the pressure to be someone else. It's about the commitment to finally become who you were always meant to be. No more running, no more hiding, no more waiting. You've been given the time. Now make it count. This is the path few are willing to take. But the ones who do, they never go back. Because once you taste purpose, nothing less will satisfy you again. And right now, that path is opening before you. Not next year, not someday, but today you don't need more time. You need more truth. And deep down, you already know what needs to change. So take the step, burn the excuses, rewrite the story, because everything you're chasing is already chasing you back. It's not too far. You're not too late, and your future is waiting on your courage to begin. You said? Then ask yourself this: who do you need to become to meet that future? Not in theory, not as a vague idea, but in action, in mindset, in discipline. Because transformation doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to commitment. You can't casually drift into the life you were designed to live. You have to train for it, prepare for it, build yourself into it, piece by piece, day by day. The life that's calling you requires strength, not just physical strength, but emotional resilience, mental clarity, spiritual alignment. Spiritual alignment, the kind of strength that's built in private when no one is watching. When the motivation is gone but the vision remains, there will be days you don't feel like it. Days when the old version of you tries to pull you back, whispering doubts, feeding your fears, tempting you to settle. But here's what you must remember. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building the foundation for the person you're becoming. Every time you wake up early when you could have slept in, every time you say no to what drains you and yes to what builds you, every time you act with intention, instead of reacting from emotion, you are casting a vote for your future, and those votes add up. Quietly, slowly, powerfully, until one day you wake up and you don't recognize your old life anymore. Not because everything around you changed, but because you did. And that's the point. This journey isn't about fixing the world, it's about mastering yourself. The only battlefield that truly determines your destiny is the one within your own mind. June 20 isn't a finish line, it's a checkpoint. A moment in time where your results will speak louder than your reasons. Will you have grown? Will you have moved closer to your vision? Or will you still be in the same place, with the same habits, whispering the same promises to yourself that never became reality? Because the brutal truth is this: life doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. Everyone says they want change. Few are willing to pay the price. Fewer still are willing to stay consistent when it gets boring, hard, or slow. But that's where greatness is forged, in the dull, quiet moments where no applause exists. So decide now who you want to become. Picture that person. See them clearly. How they carry themselves, how they think, how they speak, how they show up when no one's watching. That version of you isn't imaginary. They're waiting to be built, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. And when you realize that everything you admire in others, discipline, strength, clarity, purpose, it's all available to you too. Something clicks. You stop idolizing and start becoming. You stop observing and start building. You stop waiting and start moving. This journey will ask for your energy, your focus, your time, your heart, but it will give you something greater in return. Ownership over your life, no more excuses, no more waiting on the perfect time. This is the time. There's no magic coming. Just a moment, a date, a decision. June 20 is that decision made visible. The day you look in the mirror and either see progress or excuses, clarity or regret, momentum or missed opportunity. What you do between now and then will echo far beyond that date. It will shape your confidence, your identity, your future. And when that day arrives, you'll either meet it with pride or with the heavy silence of knowing you could have done more. So show up, start small, stay consistent, build in silence, trust the process, and watch what happens when you no longer negotiate with your potential. Because when June 20 comes, it won't be about what happened on that day. It'll be about who you became on the way there. And that journey starts now. Not for the world that's asleep at the wheel, but for you, the one who still believes there's more, and there is more strength, more clarity, more impact, more joy, more life. But it won't come to those who wait, it will come to those who prepare. So here's the question you have to answer. Will you be ready when the moment arrives, or will you let it pass and wonder what could have been? June 20 is not far away, but between now and then is everything, every habit you build, every distraction you silence, every lie you unlearn, every part of you that you choose to rise and reclaim. Stay with this, because what's coming next will not only challenge you, it will free you. If you've ever felt like life was supposed to mean more, if you've ever looked in the mirror and knew deep down you haven't become all that you were meant to be, then this message is your line in the sand. And June 20 is the day your reflection begins to change. You are not late, you are not too broken, and you are definitely not forgotten. You are right on time for the fight that will awaken your future. So listen closely, lean in, because this journey doesn't end with a date. It begins with a decisio, and that decision is yours right now. And as the journey begins, something inside you will shift. The moment you commit, truly commit to becoming the person you were always meant to be, the world around you begins to respond, not in obvious ways, not in sudden miracles, but in subtle confirmations. The right ideas begin to surface. The right challenges show up to strengthen you. The right voices begin to echo the truth you've already decided to live by, because life mirrors your level of belief. If you walk like someone who's still doubting, unsure halfway in, you'll keep getting halfway results. But when you move with certainty, when your actions scream, "I'm not turning back," doors open. Resistance rises, yes, but so does strength, because pressure creates growth. And this is exactly what you've been avoiding for too long. You've played it safe. You've waited for signs. You've told yourself stories about why you couldn't begin yet. Not enough time, not enough energy, not the right moment. But the truth is, waiting was costing you more than starting ever would. And now that cost is no longer acceptable. You feel it, that urgency, that burn, that sacred discomfort. It's not anxiety, it's awakening. The moment you align your actions with your deeper purpose, your entire world begins to take shape differently. You begin to walk with conviction. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking to fit places that no longer match your vision. And most importantly, you stop entertaining the voice that says, "You're not ready," because readiness isn't a feeling. It's a choice, and courage doesn't come before the leap. It shows up because you leaped. You don't become confident and then act. You act, and through action you earn your confidence. Every rep you put in, every time you rise after falling, every decision you make that honors your future instead of your fear. And it's in those moments, those quiet, private battles, where transformation is happening. No one sees it. No one claps for it. But deep down, you begin to feel it. You start to walk tall, not because you're pretending, but because you're becoming. Let that sink in. You are becoming. And becoming takes pressure. Becoming takes resistance. Becoming takes time. But it also gives you something in return that comfort never will. Ownership of your life. You start to live like your decisions matter, because they do. You stop tolerating what drains you, because you finally believe you deserve. Better, you stop waiting on permission, because you realize the only one holding you back was you. Now everything changes when you accept that your future is your responsibility. Not your parents, not your pasts, not your circumstances, yours. And that's not a burden, it's a breakthrough. Because if it's your responsibility, it means it's also within your control. And that control, it begins with one choice. I will no longer abandon myself. No more delaying the work. No more betraying your potential. No more living like your purpose is optional. You were not placed here to simply exist. You were created to live fully, awake, aligned, and aware of the gift that is your time on this earth. And every second that passes between now and June 20 is either shaping you or stealing from you. So make the decision loud. Make it real. Make it visible in everything you do. Because when you truly decide, everything else begins to move. The fear doesn't disappear, but it loses its power. The excuses don't vanish, but you no longer feed them. The doubt still whispers, but you stop listening. You shift from surviving to shaping, from reacting to creating, from wishing to walking. And every step forward, no matter how small, becomes evidence that you're not who you were. You're on your way. June 20 is not just a goal. It's a moment of truth, not for anyone else to see, but for you to know you either met the moment or missed it. And today, right now, is where that outcome begins. And if today is where it begins, then this moment, right here, right now, is sacred. Because this is the moment you stop living on default and start living on purpose. This is the moment the fog begins to clear. The moment your excuses are finally exposed for what they are. Fear dressed up as logic, doubt pretending to protect you, comfort disguised as peace, but you know better now. You can feel the shift happening. Something inside you is waking up and it's not going back to sleep. Because once you see the truth that you've been living beneath your potential, you can't unsee it. And once you feel the weight of your purpose, you can't pretend it's not there. The question is no longer, do I want more? You've always wanted more. The question now is, will I rise and become the person who can carry more? Because wanting is passive. Becoming is active, and becoming requires a standard, a new one. You can't keep operating with the same mindset and expect new results. You can't keep showing up halfway and expect a full transformation. You can't keep feeding your distractions and wondering why your vision isn't growing. You have to draw a line. Not in the sand, but in your soul. A line that says, I'm done playing small. I'm done delaying what I know I'm here to do. I'm done giving energy to things that do not build the future I want. This is the turning point. Not the moment you feel hyped or temporarily motivated, but the moment you decide. And back that decision with action daily, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. Because this is how greatness is formed. Not in flashes of emotion, but in consistency when it counts. In the 1,000 unseen reps. In the quiet choices that slowly sculpt the version of you who no longer needs to be convinced. They're already committed. And when that version of you starts showing up, everything changes. You begin to walk into rooms differently. Not louder, but with presence. Not arrogant, but with clarity. You stop chasing validation and start living in alignment. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need to understand your mission and move like it matters, because it does matter. Your presence matters. Your decisions matter. Your discipline matters, and the life you want, it's not far away. You'll look back and realize that this journey didn't just transform your circumstances. It transformed you. The way you think, the way you move, the way you see yourself when you're alone with your thoughts. You'll stop chasing things that never mattered. You'll stop negotiating with distractions.